Okay, today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos. This is class number 33. And we start with Sefer Chaim. And big topic is the same, many forms of gossip. Today's topic, old information. The prohibition against speaking on rechilus may apply even if the listener is already aware the information being conveyed. Rechilus includes any statement that may foster animosity. So somebody just reminded him, like, well, it's you know what, this person is still talking about you. Still talking about you. Right, so of course it's going to promote animosity, and it is forbidden. Repeating how someone maligned or acted against the listener might make the listener better aware of the details that would cause for added hatred. I mean, he hated this person before, but now he hates him even more. Yes, well, because of the details. Moreover, if the listener had not yet given much thought to the information, repeating it could be cause for animosity to form. That's crazy. All right, so let's stop here. And we continue with our Halachos of Brochos. So same chapter. We didn't finish chapter. It was Baruch Hashem, very long chapter. And the topic was mistakes, right? So the topic mistakes in a bracha. So we continue with the section C, page 224. And the topic is realizing while eating that he forgot to make a bracha. So a person started eating that, oops, I did not make the bracha before I start. Okay. So situation number one, or scenario number one, food still in his mouth. We have learned in chapter 1, section E1, that one is not permitted to make a bracha with anything in his mouth. Right? So we said even he has to swallow his own saliva. Based on this, if a person had started eating and realized that he forgot to make the bracha, he should, where possible, remove the food from his mouth in order to make a bracha. Okay, so if it's he did not start chewing it, let's say it's a piece of apple or candy, let's say hard candy, you can take it out of your mouth, right? So let's assume your hands are clean, and then you can make a blessing and put it back into your mouth. There is no problem. However, since it is not permitted to waste food, it's not considered to waste food. Consideration must be given to prevent the food in his mouth from being wasted. Therefore, okay, so one of the rules that we don't waste food, right? Therefore, so if it's, let's say it's not possible to take it out of his mouth, it is liquid. It is, he's not going to spit into his cup, or he starts chewing it, mashed potato, let's say. He's not going to spit out the mashed potato, right? Therefore, if the food will not become repugnant, right? If removed from his mouth, like a sucking candy, okay, I think it's a good example, chewing gum, etc. It should be removed. He should then make the bracha and resume eating. That's it. So if it's possible to remove, that's what you do. Make a blessing and continue eating. B. If the food will become repugnant, a second. So, okay, so situation B. If food will become repugnant, when it's to be removed from the mouth, for example, applesauce, partially chewed stew, cottage cheese, and etc. Right? Most people are not going to eat it again, right? So they're going to throw out. He should move the food to one side of his mouth, make the bracha, thereby not wasting food, and then resume eating. So okay, so let's say it's cottage cheese or applesauce, right? So you put on one side of your mouth, make a blessing, and continue eating. Okay. Next scenario, C. If it is not possible to make the bracha while the food on the side of his mouth, For example, liquid. So with liquid, it's not so easy. It is proper to remove the food, even though it will be wasted. Right, to remove the food, basically spit out the liquid. It is certainly in certain cases where he needs to drink, and only that liquid which is in his mouth, he is exempt from the expelling the drink, as explained in Hebrew notes below. Okay, what would be the case? I don't know. There is a little left of his coffee in the cup. That's it. That's the only thing left. So okay, so we just let him finish. Okay. Okay. So if it's possible, let him spit out, say the blessing, and drink something else, because the liquids, let's say they're not as expensive as solid foods, right? At least most of them, and then make a blessing and continue drinking. Okay. Number two. So number one was food still in his mouth, and number two, swallowed. I mean, what can you do if he swallowed, right? That's it. If the food was already swallowed, the bracha can no longer be made. A bracha can not be made retroactively on a food already eaten. So that's a big rule. So after you already swallowed, that's it. So while it is still in your mouth, since it's not swallowed, so swallowing is actually part of the eating. Chewing and swallowing, that's two steps of the eating, right? Since if the solid food still inside of his mouth, he can still make a blessing. If he swallowed, it's too late. Even though the food was eaten without bracha, one still required to make proper bracha achrona were required, right? So it's very interesting rules. I mean, it's logical. So even though he did not say the first blessing, bracha rishona, right, the first blessing, okay, he did a mistake, but bracha achrona, it's a different rule. It's a different halacha. Two separate things. So just because he did not say initial blessing does not mean that he is exempt from after blessing. There is simply no connection. Okay, section D. Wrong brachas, which are valid b'diavad. Okay, so I actually spoke. Somebody asked the question. I think maybe in different parts. I don't remember. So which are blessing are valid b'diavad. B'diavad is after post facto. Initially, one is obligated to make the specific bracha designated by Chazal for the particular food he wishes to eat. Okay. If one made the wrong bracha, there is not a specific bracha designated by Chazal, and the statement is not true, the bracha is not valid. A new bracha is required. For example, if one say Borei on vegetable, his statement is untrue, and the vegetable is not the fruit of the tree, and his bracha therefore is not valid. So the general rule is, even if you made a mistake, but after the fact, whatever we said is true, so you're not obligated to make another blessing, you can continue eating. But in this case, whatever the example they gave us now, the person was about to eat cucumber, and he said the Borei the fruit of the tree. So it's not true. Cucumbers do not grow on the tree; they grow from the ground. So in this case, it's not true. So he must say another blessing, as we are learning in not in the chapter before, but before that. So we said that. So he has exactly 2 seconds. I don't remember what chapter was it. Maybe previous one. He said. I apologize. It was this. It was this chapter in the beginning of this chapter. So we said that he has exactly 2 seconds, 1.5 2 seconds to fix his mistake. So for example, he said Baruch Borei 8, and then he caught himself and said Ha'adama. That's enough. He can eat this cucumber. So, but if it took him more than a few seconds to realize, so that's too late. So he must make a new blessing. Continue. However, if the statement contained in a wrong bracha is true, b'diavad the bracha is valid. right? So if he would say opposite, right? If on a cherry he said Borei Adama, the fruit of the ground. It is a fruit of the ground. It's not specific. It's not correct blessing to make, but after the fact, it is correct. So let's see. Example: Borei Adama made on apple is valid b'diavad. So after the fact, Borei Adama refers to the fruit of the earth. This statement is not untrue. So that not untrue, double negation. Menei is true with regard to apples. Although the apple is a fruit of the tree, it is also indirectly the fruit of the earth, right? Even if one intentionally recited the wrong blessing, I'm not sure why it's intentionally. Nevertheless, if the statement is true, the bracha is valid b'diavad. So after the fact, don't make a new blessing. Okay, next one. Next citation, Hamotzi. So now, okay, actually no, it's not the next citation. It's the first one actually. So we're going to go through all of the scenario when he made a mistake. Hamotzi on other foods. So he said Hamotzi on other foods. The statement of acknowledgement contained in Berachos Hamotzi refers to foods only, bread. One food only, bread. Therefore, Hamotzi recited of any other food other than bread is not valid. Right? Halachic definition of bread, see Addendum 2, Section A. Okay, we're going to get to it. Actually, I think we will learn it, but okay. Section A, so, okay, let's continue. I'm looking, there was one comment. Except for the product which are possibly included in a bread category as discussed. So bread category, if he made on some cookies, let's say, right? On some pastries, he said hamotzi. So after the fact, or on muffins, or on some sweet things, so he said hamotzi. So after the fact, it is valid blessing. After the fact, because technically, as we learned before, if person is prepared to eat 8 ounces of cake, right? So it is like a meal. So if it is without not in a bread meal, so he would need to wash hands and make the blessing. Okay, hamotzi. Okay, continue. B, cakes, crackers, etc. So if he said hamotzi on cakes, crackers, etc. Crackers is a different story, but let's see. In Addendum 2, Section B, we added the classification of cakes, cookies, crackers, and other baked goods. We discovered that due to the difference of the opinion among the poskim, it is questionable as to whether or not these products belong under the classification of bread. Therefore, if Berachos Hamotzi is made on cakes, cookies, etc., it is questionable if bracha is valid, and a new bracha may not be made. Okay, commentary. Regarding what to do in these cases where a new bracha is questionable, see chapter 16, section B. That's actually next chapter. Okay. All right. So, I mean, about crackers, that's crackers in a different category. But cookies and cakes in a different category. Crackers, everybody agree there is Mezonos. It's never bread. But about cakes and cookies, Rabbi said there is a bread. Okay. So next scenario. Hamotzi said on cereal, noodles, other cooked Mezonos. Okay. The Berachos Hamotzi was recited on products which do not have turisa the Nahama, bread-like properties and appearance. The bracha is not valid. So one of the cook things, Mezonos, it's not valid for sure. The statement contained in the bracha is definitely untrue with regard to these products, since they are undisputably not included in classification of bread. So if even there is dispute and this and that in qualification, whether it's bread or not, not bread in a bread family. So that's one thing. But here nobody said that it's these cooked things in the bread family, because that's just to remind us, we included all of the cakes and cookies in a bread family because, first of all, you make it exactly the same dough, right? It bakes exactly the same. Okay, but in these cakes you have honey, you have some I don't know, some sugar, more sugar, some cream, whatever you have there. But it looks like very close closer to the bread than to anything else. Okay. Okay. Therefore, if Birchas Hamotzi was made on Mezonos products such as noodles, farina, spaghetti, and the like, the bracha is not valid and new bracha is required. So that's straightforward. Okay. So the only questionable is this cookies and crackers. Okay. Crackers no, but cookies for sure and cakes. Continue. Borei Menei Mezonos. So we finish with bread. So bread, Hamotzi we make on bread. It's questionable if he made on cake, even though we said if he's going to eat a lot of cake, he should make Hamotzi, right? And on other Mezonos, it's that is cooked like noodles and the like. It's not covered, right? So in all of these cases, you have to make a new blessing. And if he did on other vegetables, of course, they're not covered. Of course, on fish and meat, it's not covered. It has not even close anything to do with Hamotzi. Okay. So number 2, Borei Menei Mezonos. Okay. Borei Menei Mezonos refers to the types of food that satiate and sustain life. So we see that here this blessing is it would cover the different categories of food, right? That's sustained food. Potato is also sustained food, right? So let's see. The bracha was designated to the products made from wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye. Okay. So, which are the principal sustaining foods? See also the appropriate bracha for rice. It is also appropriate bracha for rice. So, to remind us, on rice we say Borei Menei Mezonos, right? But we don't say Al Mechia after we finish rice. We don't, right? So we treat it as vegetable. So we say Borei Nefashos. Okay, commentary. Borei Menei Mezonos is not appropriate for the following grain products. Not the product: bread, liquids such as beer, roasted kernels. The correct bracha for beer is Shehakol. For roasted wheat kernels, Borei Pricha Dama. Okay, so let's try to understand. Let's explain this commentary. So, Borei Menei Mezonos, it's not appropriate blessing for bread. So we're going to see if it's okay after the fact. Maybe yes, we'll see. Right? For beer, so beer, even though there is Mezonos, there is wheat or whatever, barley, whatever they make the beer from, right? It is true, but still, since it is liquid, it's different blessing. Right, and it's not something that satiates. And roasted kernels. So roasted kernels, if we would make the flour and bake the bread, it's going to be bread is Hamotzi, right? But since it is a kernel, it's not how usually people eat it. So we call it Borei Pricha Dama. Okay. And not we call it, we say Borei Pricha Dama. So basically, Mezonos, even though it's wheat kernels, so we stay still different blessings. Okay, so that was this footnote. Continue. According to many poskim, all foods and drinks, except the salt and water, so those are only 2 exceptions, can be referred to a food as sustained. So that's very interesting. According to this view, B'diavad, after the fact, if Borei Menei Mezonos was recited or any food besides salt and water, it is valid because the statement is true. Okay, so it's very good to know. So if you say by mistake Borei Menei Mezonos, and we ate vegetables. So after the fact, you don't have to repeat anything after the fact. So the only exception again, salt and water, because salt does not satiate, and water also does not satiate. Okay, continue. Some poskim advise that if one made Borei Menei Mezonos on non-Mezonos foods, he should do as follows. Upon concluding Borei Menei Mezonos, eat only the first bite of the non-Mezonos food, so that the bracha will not have to be made in vain. Then, if possible, he should terminate the effect of the bracha. Once the Borei Menei Mezonos is no longer in effect, then the appropriate bracha for non-Mezonos food can be made. Okay, so let's see the example, and then we're going to explain. For example, a change of location will cause the bracha to terminate. Okay, well, we spoke about it. Thus, if possible, for him to change the location, he should do so. After he has changed location, and thus Borei Menei Mezonos is no longer in effect, he can recite the appropriate bracha and resume eating the non-Mezonos food. Okay. So let's see the commentary and we explain. In this case, it is not considered gorem bracha sheina tzircha, right? Unnecessary, like extra blessing, like he forced it. Since he's terminating the bracha in order to avoid having to rely on a bracha which is only valid b'diavad. Okay, so let's try to understand. So he said on his cucumber, he said Borei Menei Mezonos. Okay, and not cucumber, the whole salad, whatever, right? So we say, since after the fact it is okay, so eat a little piece of cucumber, whatever, right? And stop, go outside, take a walk, come back. So by this time, the duration of your blessing ended, because you changed the location. Switching from one room to another is not agreed by everyone. So go outside, it's for sure it's going to work. So come back, right? Come back and say appropriate blessing of this salad, whatever you're going to eat, and continue it. So the commentary in the footnote they explain. So don't think it's like a forced blessing, right? Like we said in the previous class, we had this discussion about when he said blessing, ate half of the, let's say, fruit, stop. He said after blessing, right? And then continue eating again, right? So we said that's a forced blessing, and he's going to get punished for that. That's reciting Hashem's name in vain. Here they say no, it's not true. It's a different situation. Why? Why is it a different situation? Because it was valid only b'diavad. He did not do the right job to begin with. Okay, so that's the solution. Okay, next scenario. Borei pri Hagofen. Borei pri Hagofen refers to the fruit of the grape wine. So it's very, very specific, as we understand. Right? Although Borei pri Hagofen was designated expressly for wine, right? If one recite Borei pri Hagofen on the grapes or raisins, the bracha is valid b'diavad, since the grapes and raisins are also fruits of the grape wine. However, if Borei pri Hagofen was recited on any other food, the statement would be untrue, and the bracha would therefore be invalid. Okay, so let's try to understand. So the person say Borei pri Hagofen, right? The translation fruit of the grape wine. Okay, what is the fruit of the grape wine? The wine, of course, the grapes, the raisins. That's only a fruit of the wine. So only these grapes and the raisins are covered after the fact, b'diavad, but other things are not covered. So for other things, he would need to make another blessing. Commentary. The grape juice is halachically considered wine. Regarding the halachic definition of wine, and grape juice. For example, how to classify wine diluted with water or mixed with seltzer, etc. See Shehakol or Chaim 221 and 2045. So what is he saying in this footnote? So two things he's saying. So first is grape juice is considered to be wine. So if you want to make kiddush on Friday night or on holiday, whenever you need to make a kiddush, and you don't want to drink wine, you cannot drink wine, you have allergy on the wine, whatever you have, right? So you can drink the grape juice. Okay, so that's Halachic, it's 100% wine. The only thing, the second part of the commentary, it says if it was diluted too much, so it's not, it loses the status of wine. Even though it looks like wine, it smells like wine or smells like a grape juice and tastes like grape juice, but it's not. So if they added a lot of water, right? So all of these grape drinks, whatever the grape juice drink, it's not wine. Even though it smells a lot of wine, it's all chemical. It's all it's not real wine. So I'm not sure. Like you see, it's not easy thing to decide how much you can dilute the wine. So the only thing that we can do is contact the kashrus authority and ask them. That's the only thing that you can do. So I asked them about some wine. Somebody asked me to find out. I asked them. They gave me an answer, and it was in New York Wines. They told me that they can add. So there are different types. So for one type, they say since it was not so strong to begin with, so it was not it was very diluted. I think it was like 8% wine. So they say you can add 20% of water, and in another it was like 30% of water they allowed to add. So which is a lot. I mean, for a person who, for example, he does not have enough wine or he does not want to drink such a strong wine. So that's actually helps. But it's not so obvious just reading the label that you would know, or you taste the one, you would know how much water you can add. You have to ask the manufacturer. The kashrut agency, they would know. Manufacturer would not even talk to you. Right? Maybe they will, but we cannot rely on whatever they tell him. Okay. So number 4. Borei 8. Okay. Borei 8 refers to the fruit of the tree. So it's very, very specific blessing, right? If the Borei 8 was recited on any other food or beverage, the statement would be untrue, and bracha would therefore be invalid. So let's say commentary. If Borei 8 was made on wine, it is valid b'diavad. Since the grapevine is technically tree, referring to the wine fruit as a tree is not untrue. Not untrue, double negation, which it is true. Okay, so Borei 8 you can do only on fruits and on wine. So on wine only b'diavad. Okay. So continue. Next situation. Borei dama. Borei dama refers to the fruit of the earth. If Borei dama was recited on fruit of the tree, it would be valid, since the fruit of the tree is also indirectly fruit of the earth. So if you say Borei dama on apples, so after the fact, no problem. If Borei dama was recited on bread, on Mezonos product, it is questionable whether bracha is valid. Right? And new bracha may therefore not be made, exactly. Regarding what to do in the cases where they make a new bracha questionable, see chapter 16, section B. Okay, it's next chapter. We go into it. Okay. So let's try to understand. So technically, all of these 5 species that of wheat and barley and others, right? So they actually the fruit of the ground, right? So, but since it's not exactly what the fruit, not exactly because they're in separate category, so that's why they say it's questionable. So let's see. According to some poskim, recite on bread and Mezonos product is valid b'diavad. So we can always rely on this opinion if needed. So that's what I was always thought. This poskim reason that since the product are made from grain, which is a fruit of the earth, the statement contained in the bracha is not untrue. Meaning it is true. So if I say fruit of the earth on a bread, it is true after the fact. Other poskim rule that these products cannot be referred as fruit of the earth, and the bracha therefore is not valid. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure 100%, but logically, I would say because it was processed, right? So when we say the food of the ground, so we say on a cucumber and you see cucumber, right? But when you say Borei on bread, so you don't see the original kernels. It has nothing to do with that. It was processed in a flour and they baked and this and that. So the transformation that it went through, it's went through so much transformation. So it's hard to see in it that just looking at the bread that it's actually made of flour, made of all of these grains. Okay, that's my guess. Is rationale does not say that, but logically that's what makes sense. So next one is Shehakol. Shehakol is a statement acknowledging that all things came and continuously to come into being by the word of Hashem, which is always true, of course. Although Shehakol was not designated for all foods, nevertheless, since the statement is true with regard to any food, it is valid b'diavad for all foods. Okay, so sorry. So if person said Shehakol on any food after the fact, it is good. No. In the cases where the correct blessing for a particular food item is not determined by Rav, okay, the poskim permit use the general blessing, bracha, such as Shehakol, which will definitely cover the food, even though it may be the designated bracha for that type of food. Okay, this discussed in chapter 16, section 8. Okay, we're going to get to it. Bezos Hashem. Okay, so so the second part of this Shehakol definition. So we say if you do not know and there is nobody to ask, and it's questionable and you have no idea. Sometimes it says kosher paref, but you have no idea what are ingredients, right? Does not look like, I don't know. So in this case, we say Shehakol, no problem. But the proper is to find out, go into internet and I don't know, and then search or call somebody or buy this book. At the end of this book, like all of the explanation what blessing to make on what. It's a beautiful book, beautiful. And all of the explanation what to make and why do we make and what is the end blessing and all of these different scenarios. Okay, section E. What to do after making invalid bracha. Okay. Number one. After concluding the bracha, when one says Hashem's name in vain, he reduces the honor and respect which is due to him by reciting Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuso Loenam Be'et, which means commentary. Bless is his name and bless is the name of his glorious kingdom forever and ever. He declares that his intention to uphold the honor and respect due to Hashem. So he said, okay, I said it, but all the honor still goes to Hashem. I'm not using his name in vain. In this manner, he decided he rectifies the error of having said Hashem's name in vain. So basically, what does it mean that this when we say Shema, right? When we say Shema, so after Shema we say this phrase. Okay. And we also say this if Ashkenazim say this blessing. Ashkenazim make two blessings on tefillin, on shel yad on the hand and shel rosh. So after shel rosh, so first of all we make it very quiet. We say very quietly, and then we add this verse just in case if this blessing is not needed. So Rema said it's needed, but he said just in case say this verse. So so to protect yourself basically. Okay. So one more time. So our topic: what to do after making the invalid bracha. So here, first situation, he already concluded. That's it. Too late. He already finished with the bracha. Second scenario, in the middle of the bracha. So he realized that he made a mistake in the middle of the bracha. What to do? If one started to recite bracha, and upon saying Baruch Atoch Hashem, he realized that the bracha was unnecessary, so he already made on something else, he should immediately conclude with the phrase Lamdeni Hokecha. So there is a verse in Tehillim, right, which it says Baruch Atah Hashem, Lamdeni Hokecha. Lamdeni Hokecha means who teaches us his statutes, right? His halachas. But let's put it this way. Right? So you said, blessed is Hashem, who teaches me his halachas, which means what? I just said the verse from Tehillim, which is never an issue. So when he starts saying this blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem, it did not finish. He caught himself on time. That's how we end. Okay. Continue. Note. Sorry. If one can turn unnecessary bracha into necessary bracha by finishing the bracha and taking a food which required that bracha, it is preferable to do so, provided the food was accessible to him at the time he made the bracha. So what does it mean? So he started making a blessing. So instead of finishing Lamdeni Chokecha, for example, teach us your statutes. So person say, for example, Shehakol, right? And he started eating candy, or he started drinking water, or whatever. So started eating or drinking something that this Shehakol is a proper blessing for. And he did not intend initially to eat or drink this food. That's the better way. So if there is nothing else, or he does not want to eat something else or drink something else, so just make a blessing on just finish the Lamdeni Chokecha. Okay, here's an example. In the midst of the making bracha, one realizes that it is unnecessary. There was a dish of sugar cubes on a table when he started to recite the bracha. It is better to conclude the bracha saying Shehakol and eating sugar cube. Then to stop and say Baruch Shem Kivot, right? So he can say Lamdeni Chokecha, or just eat some other food that require different blessing. Okay. Okay, so continue. So let's see, we finished the chapter. Let's see how much time we have. Okay, we have time, so we're going to start the next chapter that we spoke so much about it, chapter number 16. And the topic is doubts and alternatives. This chapter discusses what to do in situation where making a bracha is questionable. Section A deals with two types of the questionable situation. In one type of the situation, bracha is definitely needed. In one type of the bracha is definitely needed. What is not known is what specific bracha the item requires. For example, he does not know whether a particular kugel requires Hadama or Shehakol. Okay, that's first section. In another type of situation, the question is whether or not to make a bracha at all. For example, one walked out to his porch in the middle of his meal. Then he returns. He is not sure whether his original bracha is still valid, it's still in effect, or if he must make a new bracha. In section B, the number of suggestions for the dealing with problem situations are awful. What happened? 1 second. It's trying to connect. 1 second. Okay, I don't know. In section C, the application of this suggestion to specific cases demonstrated. Okay, so let's start. Of course, we're not going to finish, but at least we start. Okay. So A, rules for making bracha in questions, situations. Situations. Okay. Number 1, must ask Halachic authority a Rav. Okay, that's a good question. Good suggestion. When a person does not know what the bracha to make on a particular food, he should first research the Halachic sources, Shulchan Aruch, appropriate Sfarim, or like this one, as I said at the end, it has, I don't know how many, few hundred pages maybe. I don't know, maybe not few hundred, maybe 100 pages of description of what blessings to make and why and what is the ended blessing and all these things. Okay, appropriate Sfarim. And or ask competent Halachic authority. So competent meaning that he knows, not everybody knows. If he does not do so, he may not eat the food unless he bypasses the problem. Right? So don't eat, or eat it in a bread meal. Right? Or eat it in a situation where you cover everything. by making blessing on different foods. So for sure this food is also included. Okay, continue. For example, one wants to eat eggplant salad, but does not know whether the bracha Borei eats eggplant. So Borei eats Adama. Okay, he does not know. Okay, so eggplant is the fruit of the ground, but okay, he does not know. He must first check the halachic sources or ask Rav. He may not arbitrarily select bracha because it may be the bracha l'vatala, right? So don't just guess. It's 50% chance, right? So it's not what we do. Commenting, since the correct bracha on eggplant Borei Adama, if selected Borei if he selected Borei, not only he would be eating eggplant without the bracha, but he also would be making bracha levatala, so like wasted bracha in vain, right? So same blessing in vain. That's a very bad situation to be in. So two issues: he is eating without blessing, and he made the blessing in vain. He also may not make a Borei Adama, reasoning that bracha is valid b'diavad. So as we said, the fruit of the ground, the fruit of the tree, b'diavad. Let's call it the fruit of the ground. Why is that? Commenting. Although Borei is valid after the fact for the fruits which require Borei aids, in this case, since he can determine the correct bracha by researching the halachic sources or ask Rav, is not considered after the fact. So after the fact, if he already said it, but here it's before the fact, he does not know what blessing to make. So those are two absolutely different situations. So even if the correct bracha is Borei, okay. So even if so meaning if he said Borei Adama after b'diavad, after the fact, it covered the fruit of the tree. So we don't make it because that's not what we do. We start, b'diavad means that he already said it by mistake. And here he did not start eating, so there is no mistake. He must either find out what the correct bracha is, or find a way to bypass the unnecessary uncertainty altogether. See below in section C, right? The solutions. Otherwise, he may not eat the eggplant salad. So, halacha is very, very simple. You have to make the right blessing. If you don't know, so don't eat. So, find out, then eat when you know. Similarly, if in the situation where one is not sure whether bracha is required, for example, he is in the middle of his meal and does not remember whether or not he made bracha when he started, he must first determine the halacha by researching the halachic sources. So don't just jump to any conclusion, right? So you have to research and then do according to the book. I mean, in this book, for example, it's very straightforward. Whatever we learn, it's very straightforward. And authors say in this situation we do this, in that situation do that. So number 2, correct bracha cannot be determined. Correct bracha cannot be determined. If the correct bracha cannot be determined, commentary, in some instances bracha for a particular food cannot be definitely determined because of the difference of the opinion among the poskim relating to that food. Okay. For example, so you continue. For example, one wants to eat kugel made of finely ground vegetables. Mm-hmm. The situation hinges on difference of the opinion among the poskim. Some poskim required Borei adama, others required Shehakol. So we're talking about vegetable kugel, right? So if it's so finely cut, like if you put it from, I guess maybe from through the blender, I don't know, maybe from the blender, right? So it would be so finely cut, it's like a liquid. I mean, when you put it, it's liquid. So some would say still, you know, that you did it from potatoes and other vegetables. So how can you say Shehakol? I would say no, it was so the look of the food changed so much, so it's no longer like vegetable, right? You cannot recognize the vegetable, so we say Shehakol. In other instances, bracha cannot be determined because the pertinent fact is unknown. For example, one wants to eat candy containing cashews, chocolate, and caramel. In order to determine the correct bracha, we must know the majority ingredients. If the proportion of ingredients is not known, a definite ruling cannot be made. Okay. Very interesting. But so we said, so if one cannot determine majority, so he can go by whatever he likes best. Okay, he eats this because of the chocolate. Okay, so he makes Shehakol. He eats this candy bar because of the cashew. So he said Berachos. That's it. Okay. But technically, if he got stuck, he does not know, and so that's a very interesting situation. So, 1 second, what is it? It was C. Where's my C? Sorry, I lost it. 1 second. Wow, 1 second. Sorry. What happened? Okay, sorry, I found it. Okay, so it's section number 2, correct bracha cannot be determined. If correct bracha cannot be determined, so we just gave all of this example, the following solution is available. So basically, it's not because we don't know what is it, but sometimes you don't know what is it. But in this case, it's because of the difference of the opinions. Okay. A solution: use a general bracha, for example, Shehakol. Okay. In case of a bracha is definitely required, but the correct bracha cannot be determined, the poskim permit the use of general bracha, which will definitely cover the food. There is, for example, Shehakol definitely cover the food, even though it is not the designated bracha for this type of food. Okay, but since you do not know, and it's all questionable because of the two different opinions, you make Shehakol. Comment. Various brachas are valid b'diavad after the fact, on foods other than those for which they were designated. For example, Borei adama is valid b'diavad for fruit that grow on a tree. If one is uncertain whether a certain food requires Borei or Borei adama, he should not make Shehakol. Right? He should not make, which will also be there, but rather he should make Borei adama. So I mean, if it's Borei it's Borei adama. So don't make Shehakol, make Borei adama, of course, because it's closer. Some poskim rule that in such a cases, one may make a Shehakol and is not required to inconvenience himself trying to find alternatives. Okay, some poskim. According to other poskim, even though one may technically discharge his bracha obligation by making more general bracha, for example, Shehakol, it is preferable to try to bypass the uncertainty. Okay, so I mean, to bypass that uncertainty, there is always, or almost always, I mean, it depends. If you're at work and there is no other food, okay, what exactly are you going to do? Right? But if you are at home and you have extra food, that's always, there's always solution. Let's see, for example, if the appropriate bracha for a particular soup is either Borei, Menei, Mezonos, or Shehakol, so it depends what kind of soup, it is, if it is possible to eat the soup during the course of the meal, whereby it will be covered by bracha on bread, it is preferable to do so. So it's very straightforward. Right? So if you're not sure, eat it with bread, for sure you cover it. Alternatively, if he can make separate brachas on other foods, for example, Borei, Menei, Mezonos on cracker, and Shehakol on beverage, and have intent to cover soup, it is preferable to do so. So that's a different solution. Regarding making Shehakol on water, see chapter 13, section A7a. Just to remind us what we said, there's water is good, but we cannot make a blessing on the water, Shehakol on the water, to fix the situation, right? Because the person does not enjoy it, basically. And that's the issue. Continue. B. Solution. Use the principle of Sofek Bracha Lechokel. In situation in which one is not sure whether the bracha is required or not, the principle Sofek Brachos Lechokel is applied. This means that where the requirement to bracha is in doubt, one should adopt the most lenient position. So what is if you're not sure to say bracha or not, what is the lenient position? Don't say. In accordance with the rules discussed in the next paragraph, and according to the footnotes. Okay, so we're going to see like they're serious here. Okay, under this principle, it is unnecessary. I'm sorry. Under this principle, it is if the uncertainty is due to the difference of the opinion among the poskim, one should rely on more lenient opinion, even if it is a minority view. Very interesting, right? Because it's in doubt. In most cases, This will mean that the food may be eaten without new blessing. Commentary. If there is a legitimate minhag to make bracha in a specific situation, the rule of the Sefer Brachos Lechokel is not applied. A new bracha should be made. Right? But if you're not sure this and that, you make blessing, you did not make blessings after the fact, and there is no way to fix it. For example, as we say, you at work, and that's all food that you took with you from the house, that's it. And you cannot make an interruption, let's say, right? So in this case, you just continue it without blessing. If the uncertainty is due to an unavailable pieces of the information, unavailable pieces of information. For example, he cannot remember whether he already made the bracha. One should adopt the more lenient position. For example, consider the bracha was indeed made, and the food may be eaten without new bracha. So basically, since most of the time he did make blessings, so we say Chazakah, most likely that he did. Even though, as we said before, we're trying to resolve this issue with some other solution. But if he does not remember, so and there is no way to fix it, so just continue eating. Even though one is permitted to apply the principles of Brachos and eat the food without new blessing, technically, according to the opposing position, he is eating the food without bracha. So other people say no, cannot eat. It's like stealing. For example, where he is relying on a lenient minority opinion, he is not fulfilling the bracha obligation according to majority poskim. Okay. Therefore, since the according to one side of the issue, he is eating the food without bracha, it is preferable try to do something so that he does not eat the food without bracha. For example, bypass a problem. So how to bypass a problem, it's actually the next section. In this manner, one can discharge the obligation according to all views. So basically, as we said, go outside or ask somebody to include him in his obligation, in his blessing. There are different solutions. Okay, so I think we're going to stop here because it's a very long section. I'm going to continue next time. It's too long. Okay, any questions? It's not here. Okay, so if there's no questions, wish you good Shabbos and good Yom Tov. So it's 2-day Yom Tov on Sunday. So Yom Tov on Sunday and Monday. So from Shabbos we're going to Yom Tov 3 days. So Beezrat Hashem, we're going to speak on Tuesday. Beezrat Hashem, right. Good night.